When a class 11 student of an upscale school is charged with the crime of murdering a 7-year-old student of the same school. When a baby as young as 6 months is raped by a neighbor and a mother has to get her father-in-law arrested for repeatedly raping her child, you know there's something seriously wrong in the fabric of our society. As per data collated by CRY, in the last 10 years, crimes against children are up 397% or almost 400%. This kind of human depravity is unimaginable and a recurring, almost daily nightmare for every parent. On Urban Reality today, we are doing some soul-searching to find out answers to 3 questions. Our first big question today: who are the children most vulnerable to abuse? Are there some children who are more exposed to sexual abuse than others? Because if we can narrow down that, we can perhaps find answers to protect them better. Our second question that we are asking today: why is our legal system so ineffective in safeguarding our children? After all, we have an entire POCSO Act in place to bring justice to children abused in a manner which heals them and doesn't destroy them further. Why is it not working to deter the perpetrators? And finally, that big question: can India ensure that its children are safe from abuse? As a society, why are we so helpless? Why are we not in a position to ensure that children will not continue to be subjected to abuse? Joining me today are the best voices and warriors against child abuse: Director, Policy and Research Advocacy Documentation CRY, Komal Ganotra; Vikram Singh, former Director General of Police, Uttar Pradesh, who has 30 years of experience in dealing with such crimes; Swagata Raha, legal researcher, NLSIU. She's, of course, written deep research on why POCSO is not working. And for a Delhi government perspective, where crimes against children are making a daily headline, we have with us Richa Pandey, Mishra, spokesperson of UP. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I think let's begin with the very first most important question: who are the children most vulnerable to abuse? And Komal, would you like to take that? Can we actually classify? Do you have any data to say this is the segment which is more vulnerable?
See, Manisha, all children across the strata are very vulnerable, but there is a set of children on the streets, children who are at work, children who are trafficked, children in domestic labor, and especially children in urban slums at this point of time, where there are no care facilities and you have very small children in the age group of 0 to 6, 7 staying alone. I can give you examples from areas like Shahabad Dairy, where we see 3 children aged 3, 4, 5 living all alone when both parents have gone to work.
My goodness.
So you have multiple examples like that. Having said that, I would still say vulnerability exists in the rural area, in the urban area, in the richer section, in the poor section. It is across, just that the form of vulnerability may be a little different from other. You have incest in very, very well-to-do families. The form of incest and how it comes out is different. And in areas like Narela, where we work, again, we find a huge amount of incest. But the way it manifests, it never gets into reporting.
My God.
So vulnerability does exist across.
But some segments, especially migrant labor, urban poverty-driven areas, are more vulnerable because children as young as 3 are left helpless.
And community structures have broken. Rural areas, you still have community structures.
We'll come to that on why urban community structures are broken. So you've been in the police for such a long period. Would you be able to classify with the crimes that you dealt with, that is there more or less, or do you think it's across strata and across society?
Manisha, I would say vulnerability is universal. And in your opening remarks, you said that a 6-month-old child was raped. I would say no child is safe. Even dead bodies of children are not safe. Even they are brutally and brutalized. Even at the risk of being censured by you, Manisha, I think it is the uppermost society to the lowermost, both the slums and right up to, I would say, even the palaces in Malcha and Maharani Bagh. No area is safe because we have allowed our children to grow in the dark like mushrooms and toadstools. We have not given the parental and the adult care that they deserved. Unfortunately, we have given them...
You mean to say even in well-to-do families, they're not getting that parental care which they're supposed to get?
By way of exception, there may be exceptional families who invest their time and affection on the children. I would say a large percentage where you have delinquency, where you have deviant behavior, you find that the parents are not investing the time. Giving a child an iPhone does not matter. Giving the child the keys to a Merc does not matter at all. Wow. What the child requires is your prime time, your affection, and your doting care and guidance.
All right. So that's another, changing social fabric where parents are probably working more. Swagata, I'm going to bring you in here in this conversation. The fact that children across board are vulnerable, our societal structures are breaking down, community structures are breaking down. This seems to me then an all-pervasive problem.
Absolutely, I echo what everyone else said before me. It is a universal problem. And what I also feel is that we shouldn't be upset that, the numbers have increased. We should be upset that the numbers do not fully reflect the extent of the problem. Yes. If we look at the ministry's data of 2007, it would suggest that 1 in 2 children are subjected to sexual abuse. But that does not seem to translate into the number of complaints that are being filed under the POCSO Act. Because if you just look at 2015, it's just about 15,000 complaints. So it tells us that the problem is universal. At the same time, the problem is not coming to the surface. People are not reporting for different reasons. It could be the stigma attached to sexual abuse. It could be threats from the accused. It could be the fact that the accused is a family member. Okay. So reporting would mean that the entire family will break down and make the child and the family even more vulnerable. There's in fact a recent study it is just released today, which says that 75% of people said they wouldn't complain to the police because they don't trust the police. So these are some factors that have to be considered when we talk of numbers and the universality of this problem.
All right. Okay, let me bring in Richa Pandey into this conversation. Richa Pandey, if I take a look at the state-wise pattern now, maybe it's reporting Delhi seems to have seen a very, very big jump in cases of crime against children and especially sexual abuse against children. What's your take in terms of, I'm not even coming to what the government is going to do right now as a politician, as a spokesperson. What are these vulnerabilities that you are concerned with?
Manisha, definitely children are the most vulnerable section right now. When we talk about sexual abuse or any kind of abuse with children, and Delhi has a high number of reports which are being filed every day. Maybe it is because it is the urban society in Delhi, and which at least the local police stations, etc., are within reach as compared to other states where things are very distant and people know that reporting in itself is a big pain for them. Having said that, I would like to say that these days the DCW chairperson Swati Maliwal is sitting in one of the hospitals of Delhi because no action, no help has been given to a small girl who has been raped by some people when she went for her
washroom
morning ablution.
And there were 2 juveniles who raped her, which is another big question.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely this reflects the fabric of our society on the whole. It also reflects very badly on the fact that how sensitive we are, the governments or the authorities, or how we are unable to deal with it. Even parents sometimes they do not report. I think somebody right now said that many cases are not reported because it attaches stigma to it.
Right. And so stigma is one, and also the question of how comfortable are you approaching the police, as Swagata said. And Vikram Singh, come in here, sir. Do you really believe that, we need to sensitize the police of this entire country a lot more when it comes to sexual abuse of our children? Sexual abuse of any kind, but children, it's actual human depravity which is happening.
Manisha, it bleeds my heart to know, and when I talk of this subject, police is not the solution. When I say police, hardcore policing...
I'm not saying that the police is the solution, sir. I'm saying, but it is your first point of contact if there is...
The very fact that esteemed panelists have said, ma'am, that these figures are not real. Like rape figures, these are just 25% of the actual figures. By a rough guess, it could be even much more than 75% of the cases go unreported. The solution is a compassionate police, a community policing, women police officers. We need more people, more police officers.
It is terribly understaffed.
It is terribly understaffed, yes, terribly undertrained, terribly not equal to the task also. You have to be equal to the task.
Have you, senior police people, when you were in service, not raised this matter again and again with the authorities and the government to increase trained professionals and trained police people?
Manisha, it was the gospel truth then, it is today. I hope it's not there tomorrow, that this is a non-issue with the police department. The first, it has to prioritize, look at the number of...
So where does it rank? I mean, what ranks very high? Politicians' protection? What really
VIP protection, dacoity murders, ISIS, anti-national activities, and nothing. And if you ever have the time, maybe 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes, you'll ask some lady constable and all to look into the matter. And that will the matter, we get a decent burial there.
Good Lord.
I wish we have a cell, we have some dedicated lady police officer. When I insist upon lady police officer, perhaps I still feel that the uniform gives a certain degree of steel in them. I would still like that women police officers are a generation ahead of us when it comes to such issues.
Do you feel that?
No, I think it's core of it. No, you know, it may be, but for me, here a child may reach anybody, a lady, a man, and everybody who is in the police needs to be sensitive. And we have many men in our teams working, many lawyers working who are much more sensitive than women. So to me, I really don't agree.
For some experience that he has, and it's a wide experience, he believes that women are more empathetic.
Where I differ is, you see, in the core police training, there's nothing that we're talking of children. I know one course here, one course there.
Itself is missing. So, plus, he said, sir, has just told us that it's way down in the priority list of
so later, after the police personnel has come on a job, you give a 1 hour training here and a 1 hour training that doesn't change attitudes.
Manisha,
that doesn't bring into the core of...
I support you, ma'am.
Yeah.
But looking at the sector, I'll be very honest with you. I'm the oldest member in this panel, and what I'm speaking is like a dying declaration. I have nothing to gain or lose. One thing, my daughter is a St. Stephen's product, but if she has to approach me, she approaches me via her mother.
Wow.
Then, I mean, this is the ground reality. The police also, the formidable touch me not approach that a police station has. I wish I would, as ma'am would like...
Sensitizing all police, plus having separate cells which are manned by women. Probably, let's give women a more chance. I mean, they're mothers by nature and therefore should be more empathetic. All right, let's move on to the very second. So we found what the gaps are in just the reporting aspects of it, and also when you approach police, what is missing? It's just training, empathy and manpower which is missing. But look at the justice system. There is an act which was implemented in 2012 called POCSO, which was meant to bring justice to the children abused in a manner which does not destroy them further. Swagata, you've written so much about it. What is not working? Why is POCSO, despite saying highest punishment for aggravated assault, simply not deterring these sort of crimes?
So I would say that there are gaps at 4 different levels. So one is the structural gap, just in the way in which these courts have been designed. They're not exclusive. They're dealing with multiple matters. So you have a court that is hearing a anti-terror matter and that is also trying a case under the POCSO Act on the same day. So it's very difficult for a judge to switch mindsets when it's dealing with, somebody who's accused of, bombing some part of the country and then dealing with the child the very next minute. The other is we don't have a dedicated pool of prosecutors, and that's something that the law mandates. You have to have exclusive prosecutors. So the system is overburdened. It's unable to deliver. It's unable to individualize justice for these children. Procedurally, POCSO Act provides several child-friendly measures. Again, we see that these are not implemented at all. We've looked at 5 different states, the implementation of these procedures, and we find that the exposure, the law says that the child should not be exposed to the accused while giving evidence. But what we find is that the exposure takes place outside the courtroom or sometimes even inside the courtroom, and that can really have a very intimidating effect on the child. The law says that the lawyers should not question the child directly, but the defense lawyers put up such a strong opposition against the implementation of that provision that it is not implemented at all. So you have a 10-year-old, you have a 5-year-old, being questioned by a defense lawyer whose job is to make sure that you come across as being an inconsistent witness.
Absolutely.
Yes. So you can't imagine how can a 5-year-old stand up to an adult and, answer those questions which are twisted,
everything, what I hear from you, Swagata, is that everything which was part of POCSO is simply not working in reality, and this is absolutely scary. How then are we going to protect our children from abuse? We're going to come back and keep this conversation going. Don't go anywhere.